Parents emotionalized, children parentified. So many of us grew up thinking my parents were emotional, so I had to grow up fast. How many times do I hear from my Western therapist? Clients are so responsible, they're so mature, they're so intellectually aware, and they're cognitively so smart. I said, yes. And you have to remember that's how that's the mask. Can we look deeper that many children of Arab had to grow up so fast in completely developmentally inappropriate ages, taking care of young children at the age of 5. You know how terrifying that is for a 5-year old to be responsible for a 1-year old? Now, I know and I understand that there are circumstances, horrible circumstances, that put these children in these positions, and that's what we need to grieve. However, if you grew up fast because your parents were so emotional that you were trained from a young age to 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 solve that for them or heal that for them or mold yourself in a way, then you became hyper responsible at an age when you, as children, it's developmentally appropriate to have big feelings or to feel things. Yet if you didn't have that, then now you moved into the parenting role of taking care of the parent. How many of you take care of your parents, not just emotional? It's important to understand that being parentified, that means you took on adult responsibilities at a young age. A parent who is emotionalized, who had a lot of emotions, their emotions ran the household. So whether it was dad who came home angry or yelling, or mom feeling depressed or sad, or mom's emotional volatility, that ran the household. That's what it means a parent is emotionalized. Now, characteristics would be reacts emotionally instead of regulating, explodes, withdraws, cries, or sulks, takes things personally, needs constant reassurance, makes decisions on mood and not values. So if you had a parent who is simply put, feels first, thinks later, you learned I have to manage their feelings. Their emotions are my responsibility. I need to stay alert all the time. So I work with a lot of adult Arab children, right? Adult Arab. And the number one thing we all talk about is we're hyper vigilant. We're constantly scanning. We're constantly being alert all the time. What's their mood? How do I need to shift myself in order to make sure today is a better day? So when you learn these things in childhood, take a look at your romantic relationships. My sense is you are doing this with your own partners, managing their feelings. Their emotions are your responsibility. You need to stay alert all the time, people pleasing, ensuring that they're okay, yet you may be falling apart. So go back to those 4 needs. Now, the long term impact that I see, so when we talk about the high rates of anxiety, chronic anxiety in our culture, when you're living in a state of constant hypervigilance and scanning your whole life, think about it, decades, you may have anxiety around conflict. So even when somebody says, even raises their voice, and maybe they're talking passionately, you may already get this revved up feeling in your nervous system because you're not responding from the adult in you. You're responding from that child in you that grew up in an environment where you had emotionalized parents. Of course, we're great people pleasers in our culture. That's one of our strengths, is we're really good at giving the needs to other people. However, it moves into, again, that anger. We may lack boundaries. And for some of you, there may be this fear of upsetting others. So you may couch your language. You may change who you are because you don't want to upset the people around you. And then we talked about this last week, difficulty trusting calm. Now, I'm smiling because we had a lot of really fun conversation around that. However, when there's calm or peace, you may have, or you may be in a relationship that makes you feel safe You may have a difficult time trusting that, and you may inadvertently be creating chaos in that relationship to mimic what was comfortable for you growing up. Do you guys hear that? So it's going to be important that if you have a partner or a friend or a boss or someone who makes you feel safe, who sees you, who affirms you, your nervous system that was used to that emotionalized parent, you may distrust that big time. So be aware of that dynamic. Now, what does parentified mean? A child is parentified when they put in an adult role too early. Many of us, I would say, I have yet, maybe the younger generation, it might be different, but for maybe, I would say 30, 35 and above, I have yet to meet someone that wasn't parentified. And when I say younger here in the US, things may be a little bit different. But again, I don't know. So there's two types. There's emotional parentification. The child becomes, you're the therapist, you're the comforter, you're the mediator in the family, you're the emotional support. Everybody goes to you to be their dumping ground, right? For all this emotion. And here you are carrying all of it. You could be instrumental parentification. What does that mean? You're the caretaker. You're financially responsible for the family. You're the problem solver, the responsible one. You're the one that goes in and takes care of everything. You're literally the substitute adult for your family. And that could go for your younger siblings as well. For the men, let me say this. In my experience, I see with Arab men, they become the de facto husband. So you may have had an absent father, and your mother may call to you to be that emotional parentified person, or even instrumental. So for Arab men, when you're in this dynamic with your Arab mom, if you wonder why you don't want to be in a relationship, or you wonder why you don't want to get married, or you wonder why, if you have a girlfriend or a partner who, sorry, and let me say that was very heteronormative. So even if you have, this goes to any dynamic for my LGBT community, that you may recoil from your partner asking you for any need. And they may ask you for something very simple, yet that demand, and then you reject it. So it's really important for you to understand these dynamics, that the child that carries adult responsibilities, but without the adult power. Think about that. You have adult responsibilities without the empowerment to make your own decisions. And I think somebody said earlier, autonomy and independence. So here they give you all this responsibility, yet you can't make a decision. Think about how confusing that is. And then you wonder why you can't make a decision. So you learn that your needs come last. You're only valuable when you're useful. So going back to the 4 core needs, unworthiness, when you feel shame or guilt for resting, it comes from that. Because your value as a child, you were taught only when you're doing something. So when you give your body that rest, that shame comes up, which leads to rest is unsafe. Because you were so used to being responsible, being emotionally giving, that rest is like, uh-oh, I can't do that. I was never given permission to do that. So as an adult, it's about you giving yourself that permission.
If this video resonated with you, subscribe and join the community.